Hello.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept our humble obeisances.
Please accept mine. All glories to Prabhupada. Okay, so we'll start with prayers to Bhagavatam. Sarva Shastrati Piyusha Sarva Vedeka Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Loke Kadrik Pradha Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidvanto Deta Detya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshakshirayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostute Madeka Bandho Matsangin Matkuro Manmahadhana Manishtar Kamadbhagya Mad Ananda Namostute Asadu Sadhu Tadain Ati Nichochata Kara Ana Muncha Kadachin Mam Premna Hrit Kantayos Pura Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Akyanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Yasya Prasada Dakyopi Satya Sarva Gyatam Rajet Sa Shri Chaitanya Devo Me Bhagavan Samprasidatu Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So before starting, let's just pray to Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters so that our session may be growthful and nourishing. Hare Krishna. So we are going to start chapter 20, but before that, let's just do a very quick recap. What did we do in the last class?
Killing of Hiranyaksh by Lord. Yeah.
Killing of Hiranyaksh by the Lord. Okay, what else? That's all we remember?
Every sign was inauspicious because the demon were going to born.
Yeah, so the coming of demon was foretold by all kind of inauspicious signs. Okay, what else?
How the Lord was relishing these rusts. But when he saw that his devotees, that was the demigods, were perturbed because Hiranyaksha was not getting killed, he obliged.
Yeah, and we see this is Krishna's style everywhere. Everywhere in all his leelas, when he's having this pastime, especially when he's fighting. So he keeps on prolonging it till the time he sees, oh, my devotees are getting really scared and upset now. So that's when he finally kills the demon. And that we see in Krishna Leela everywhere. Okay, what else? We also received a benediction at the end of this Leela. Does anybody remember what benediction we received?
Yes, that we will attain whatever our heart desires, the object, greatest object that our heart desires, that is obviously Krishna.
Yeah. So actually all the pastimes of the Lord have benedictions, both material and spiritual. So the idea is that he's not just looking to attract the devotees, he's also looking to attract the materialists. So Krishna has a all-encompassing plan. It is not like, he's only trying to attract a certain section of people. He's trying to attract everybody. And he knows that a lot of people are going to be impressed by a boon of extraordinary merit, wealth. And at the same time, the devotees want devotional service. So, it's only Krishna can achieve both of them at the same time. So we see that. Okay, so now we are going to start chapter 20. And if you notice, this is a chapter which links Vara Leela with Kapila Leela. This is a chapter which is kind of sandwiched in between Vara Leela and Kapila Leela. So in this chapter, we'll also see that Maitreya Muni will review the whole of creation from first chapter to the 12th chapter of third canto will be reviewed in this chapter. So Maitreya Muni is going to review that, and he's also going to add a few more details. And we'll also notice that stories are going at 4 levels. Does anybody know what are the 4 levels? I'll give you a hint so that you can understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking levels. One level is between Manu and Brahma. So can anybody guess what are the other 3 levels in which the story is going?
Mataji, it's one is between Brahma and I forget
Manu.
Brahma and Manu. The other is between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami, and the other is between Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya.
And one more.
Vidur and
Um,
Maitreya.
Vidur and Maitreya.
Maitreya and Vidur. So these are the 4 stories which are continuing at the same time. So we'll keep seeing that sometimes a speaker would be Shaunak Rishi, sometimes it would be Shukadev Goswami, sometimes Sutta Goswami, sometime Maitreya, sometime, Manu. So it's good to remember that this particular pastime is happening at 4 levels. Okay, so we can start reading. Text 1.
Chapter 20, Text 1, Translation. Sri Shaunaka inquired, O Sutta Goswami, after the earth was given, situated in its orbit, what did Swayambhu Manu do to show the path of liberation to persons who were to take birth later on?
Yeah. So we see that Vidura is going to be asking, and Shaunaka Rishi is also going to be asking. So there are going to be different kind of questions asked by different people. So here Shaunaka Rishi is asking that what did Swayambhu Manu do after the earth was again established in an orbit? And Prabhupada in the purport talks about the role of Manus. So he says that it is understood here that Manu creates scriptural regulations for the salvation of the conditioned souls who come to the material world for material enjoyment. The Lord is so kind that any soul who wants to enjoy in this material world is given full facility for enjoyment. And at the same time, he's shown the path of salvation. Shaunaka Rishi therefore inquired from Sutta Goswami, what did Swayambhuva Manu do after the reinstatement of the earth in its orbital situation? So here we see Prabhupada actually makes it clear that when Manu comes, then they give scriptural regulations named which are known as Manu Smriti or Manu Samhita. And that is a set of rules by which a human society should function. And the idea is that, the conditioned souls who have come to this material world with the desire to enjoy independently of the Lord can actually also go back on the path of salvation. It is not just that they are doomed forever for once you reject Krishna and come here, then there's no hope of going back. It's not that case. There's always hope for salvation. So these regulations are given so that people can take advantage of that. Text 2.
Shaunaka Rishi inquired about Vidura, who was a great devotee and friend of Lord Krishna, and who gave up the company of his elder brother because the latter, along with his sons, played tricks against the desires of the Lord.
Yeah, so now Shaunaka Rishi is inquiring about Vidura. So this is the review of which chapter? Does anybody remember? 3rd canto, which chapter is this? Where we hear first about Vidura, about him being a great devotee. This is review of chapter 1. In chapter 1, there is this talk. And Prabhupada in the purport says that as a devotee, Vidura showed by example that anywhere that Krishna is not honored is a place unfit for human habitation. A devotee may be tolerant regarding his own interests, but he should not be tolerant when there is misbehavior towards the Lord or the Lord's devotee. So we read that he left his house because Duryodhana was envious of Krishna and his devotees. So he just felt that it is better for me to leave than to stick around in a place where the Lord and his devotees are not being honored. So, text 3.
Vidura was born from the body of Vedvyas and was not less than he. Thus he accepted the lotus feet of Krishna wholeheartedly and was attached to his devotees.
So this one verse summarizes the qualities of Vidura. And in the purport, Prabhupada says the history of Vidura is that he was born of a Shudra mother, but his seminal father was Vyasadeva. Who was Vidura's mother? Who remembers?
Satyavati.
Yeah, Satyavati, yes. So, but his seminal father was Vyasadeva. Thus, he was not less than Vyasadeva in any respect. Since he was born of a great father who was supposed to be an incarnation of Narayan and who composed all the Vedic literatures, Vidura was also a great personality, and he accepted Krishna as his worshipable Lord and followed his instructions wholeheartedly. So here we come to know that Vidura was not only follower of Krishna, but he was also follower of his devotees. So this is a very important point to note, that to actually follow the Lord wholeheartedly, we just don't need to follow him, but also follow the path shown by his devotees. Text 4.
Vidura was purified of all passion by wandering in sacred places, and at last he reached Bharat, where he met the great sage who knew the science of spiritual life, and he inquired for him. Shankar Rishi therefore asked, what more did Vidura inquire from Maitreya?
So we see that Shanak Rishi wants to know more, that when these two spiritual personalities met, Vidura and Maitreya Muni, lot more topics of the Lord must have been discussed. Please share, what more was discussed, so we can see the eagerness. And this particular section, this particular verse is actually a review of chapter 1 and chapter 5, where chapter 5 is where Vidura meets Maitreya. This is actually a review of 1 and 5. So I'll just read some parts of the purport. Prabhupada says in the first paragraph, after leaving his home, which was full of politics and diplomacy, Vidura wanted to purify himself by traveling to all sacred places, which are so situated that anyone who goes there automatically becomes purified. This is especially true in Vrindavan. Any person may go there, and even if he is sinful, he will at once contact an atmosphere of spiritual life and will automatically chant the names of Krishna and Radha. And beginning of second paragraph, he says that one must go to sacred places not only to take bath there, but to search out great sages like Maitreya and take instructions from them. If one does not do so, his traveling to places of pilgrimage is simply a waste of time. So this is a very, very important instruction, that don't just go to take bath here, take bath there, see this, see that, but also the main point is to go and associate with exalted devotees, advanced devotees, and hear from them. That is the actual success of a pilgrimage. And then Prabhupada quotes Narottam Das Thakur from his Prem Bhakti Chandrika. Narottam Das Thakur, a great acharya of the Vaishnav sect, has for the present forbidden us to go to such places of pilgrimage, because in this age, the times having so changed, a sincere person may have a different impression on seeing the behavior of the present residents of the pilgrimage site. So here Prabhupada is cautioning that sometimes when devotees go to Vrindavan, especially the new devotees, and they see the behavior of Brajvasis, or sometimes they see that, there is trash lying here and there. So they become bewildered. And sometimes they even fight with these rickshawalas or, these Brajvasis. So Prabhupada is cautioning that, the reason Narottam Das Thakur has forbidden us, because one may actually end up getting, more negative result than positive result by going to a sacred place if the mentality is not correct. And then he continues that he has recommended that instead of taking the trouble to travel to such places, one should concentrate his mind on Govinda, and that will help him. So we can see Prabhupada initially started that one should go, and now he's saying that actually there is no need to go. You can just be wherever you are, and you can concentrate your mind on Govinda. Then he continues, of course, to concentrate one's mind on Govinda in any place is a path meant for those who are the most spiritually advanced. It is not for ordinary persons. Ordinary persons may still derive benefit from traveling to holy places like Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, and Haridwar. So he's making a distinction that a person who can think of Govinda wherever he is, for that person it's not really necessary to go on a pilgrimage. But those who may not be that advanced can actually benefit, because especially say if you go to Vrindavan, then you can meditate on that this is Raman Reti, this is this place, this is Seva Kunj, and this kind of pastime of Krishna took place in this place. And that way it helps a not so advanced devotee meditate on the pastimes of the Lord. So it is, in that sense, is beneficial. So Prabhupada says in the last paragraph, I think it's the last one. Yes. One has to be intelligent enough to find the actual person to be consulted. Then one's attempt to progress by traveling to different holy places will be successful. I mean, this is a very important point that, just don't hear from anybody and everybody. Just check the caliber of a person you are going to hear from. What kind of caliber is there? And am I able to really follow what this person is saying? Am I really able to understand? Is what he's saying, is it resonating with my heart or not? So all these things are to be seen. So, and then he says, one has to be freed from all contamination, and at the same time, he has to find a person who knows the science of Krishna. Further on, he says, if one sincerely searches for spiritual salvation, then Krishna, being situated in everyone's heart, gives him the intelligence to find a suitable spiritual master. By the grace of a spiritual master like Maitreya, one gets the proper instruction and advances in a spiritual life. So here, Prabhupada is mentioning that if one is sincere, if one really, whether it is to search out for a guru or to search out for advanced association, if one is really sincere and one prays sincerely, then Krishna, sitting as Paramatma in the heart, will arrange for such a association, will arrange for such a condition where one can actually come in touch with a spiritual master who would be right for that person, who you can surrender to. And also at the same time, come in touch with those advanced devotees who can be really beneficial for your spiritual life. Radhakesha Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yes, Mataji, two things. First, you said that in case you wish to hear from someone, check him whether he is so and so like that. Now, the person who is going to hear is having very small kind of a stage or qualification. And in other words, a student is to see whether the principal or his teacher is qualified or not.
Yeah, actually, qualification is checked from both the sides, from the side of the speaker to see if the audience is qualified or not, and also from the side of the audience to see if the speaker is qualified or not. So there is, that's actually the responsibility. And if somebody is at the level where they cannot really differentiate, then that's why Prabhupada has suggested at the end of the purport, then one should sincerely pray. And if one sincerely prays, then Krishna will reveal who's right for you.
That is true, that you can pray to Krishna. That is true, because both things are there. So it is very difficult to, so the ultimate answer is that you pray to Krishna.
Praying works in every situation, but at the same time, one can be a little intelligent to see that, this person who's speaking, am I able to connect with this person or not? Am I able to follow what this person is telling me or not? It doesn't necessarily show lack of qualification on part of the speaker. It basically shows who you can connect with, who you can understand. So it is not necessarily that because the speaker is not qualified.
Okay, that is there. But Mataji, here, because of this, we may end up getting too many judgments. Too many judgments then. That is a difficulty.
Actually, the whole idea is to use your intelligence and discriminate, not really judge. Like I said, that if you don't like hearing from, or you can't connect to a particular speaker, does not really reflect on that person's qualification. It just reflects
that is true. Yeah.
My heart is not at the same place as his. I'm not able to connect.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Okay.
But okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Let's continue. 5.
Shaunaka inquired about the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. There must have been many narrations of the spotless pastimes of the Lord. The hearing of such narrations is exactly like bathing in the water of the Ganges, for it can free one from all sinful reactions.
Yeah, so Prabhupada gives a very nice purport. It's a short purport, so I'll read it. Prabhupada says, the water of the Ganges is purified because it pours forth from the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is as good as the water of the Ganges because it is spoken from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. Do you remember? Does anybody remember that we read something like this? We have read something like this before somewhere?
Yes, Mataji, yesterday only we had given the CPA and we had
Yes, sir.
And
the knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita. Both are really very beneficial to the fallen souls of this world. The Lord has spreaded the water of holy Ganges all around us. So a little water, even Sripad Shankaracharya has gone saying to this much extent that a little water of the river Ganges and a little knowledge of Bhagavad Gita can save us from the punishment of Yamaraj.
yeah, actually in the Gita Mahatmya, which is in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita as it is, part of and towards the end of introduction. So Shankaracharya ji says that actually, it can, Krishna Katha can be compared to the water of the Ganges. So, and also we come across something like this. There are many references throughout Bhagavatam. So when I was just looking through it, I came across this particular verse from the 11th canto, 11:6-19. And it says, the nectar-bearing rivers of discussion about you and also the holy rivers generated from the bathing of your lotus feet are able to destroy all contamination within the three worlds. So many places we see that in Bhagavatam, it will be the lotus feet of the Lord, the narrations of the Lord are going to be compared to the Giraj Prabhu is saying something. Okay, let's see what he's sharing.
This question came out yesterday in our CPA.
Chiefs, there were Ganges and Vijaya Chiefs.
Both the questions were there in our CPA yesterday.
Okay, so perfect timing. Okay, so and then continuing with what Prabhupada is saying. So it is with any topic on the pastimes of the Lord or the characteristics of his transcendental activities. The Lord is absolute. There is no difference between his words, his perspiration, or his pastimes. The water of the Ganges, the narrations of his pastimes, and the words spoken by him are all on the absolute platform. And thus taking shelter of any one of them is equally good. Srila Rupa Goswami has enunciated that anything in relationship with Krishna is on the transcendental platform. If one can dovetail all our activities in relationship with Krishna, then we do not stand on the material platform, but always on the spiritual platform. 6. Who's reading?
O Suta Goswami, all good fortune to you. Please narrate the activities of the Lord, which are all magnanimous and worth glorifying. What sort of devotee can be satiated by hearing the naked pastimes of the Lord?
Yeah, so we can see the greed they have to hear the pastimes of the Lord. Like I was mentioning that they know that Maitreya and Vidura met. So now they want to know what more was discussed. Please share. That greed is there to hear more and more about the Lord. And what do they say, O Suta Goswami? All good fortune to you. So they are basically blessing Suta Goswami that may you be blessed so that we can hear more and more about the Lord. So out of their eagerness to hear more, they are blessing Suta Goswami that may you be blessed so we can hear more and more. So Prabhupada says those who are actually on the transcendental platform are never satiated by hearing the continuous narration of the pastimes of the Lord. For example, if any self-realized soul reads from Bhagavad Gita, he will never feel satiated. The narrations of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam may be read thousands and thousands of times, and still without fail, new aspects of the subject matter will be relished by the devotee. Why so? Why is it that, the more you read, the more new things are going to be revealed?
Depending upon how advanced you internally become, you will be able to derive a different meaning out of the same text.
Yeah, so we'll be able to capture according to our consciousness. Anybody else?
Although also reading will lead to our purification. The more we purify ourselves, the better we will be situated to understand.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mataji, Krishna is Nitya Yavanam, and
Sorry, Prabhu, can you be a little louder?
Mataji, Krishna is Nitya Yavanam, and his Katha is also Nitya Yavanam, and Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. The bliss increased day by day by listening Krishna Katha.
Yeah, Krishna is Nitya Yovanam. Every day, he grows, he becomes more beautiful. So even this text, all these shastras, they are living. They are not like, mundane books. They are living shastras. So there's so much depth into it. New and new things are being revealed every time. Priya Satyabhama?
The more we try to understand Krishna Mataji, the more he reveals himself to that devotee. So the more we'll read, the more we'll get to know better about him. Because if Anantashish cannot finish with his glories, then I don't think in any lifetime we can understand that.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. Rukmini?
This is similar to Priya Satyabhamaji, that Hari Anant, Hari Katha Ananta, and one cannot understand, even if we talk about the Anantshesh, he is having 1,000 foods and he is glorifying the Lord. Till now, he is not able to glorify. Yes. So it's like, and the second point is like, as per we grow in bhakti, as per our realizations we have. So as our realization, we read more, we get the more realizations in this.
Yes, thank you. Amal Charan Prabhu?
There's a saying that spiritual science reveals to the devotee according to the degree of surrender.
Yes, ye yathamam prapadante. The more surrender, the more Krishna reveals. Jagat Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, the more we...
You're on mute. You're on mute. Can't hear you.
The more time we spend reading Bhagavatam or knowing Krishna or hearing Bhagavatam, our relations become more condensed. The time more spent, it's keep on growing like that.
Yeah, because Bhagavatam is a literary incarnation of Krishna in the form of Shastra. So the more we read, the more time we spend in reading, it's actually an indication to the Lord that we want to have a relationship with him. We want to associate with him. And that's why more and more things are revealed to us. Thank you. Text 7.
On being asked to speak by the great sages of Naimisharanya, the son of Romaharshan, Suta Goswami, whose mind was absorbed in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, said, "Please hear what I shall now speak."
8.
Suta Goswami continued, Vidura, the descendant of Bharat, was delighted to hear the story of the Lord, who, having assumed by his own divine potency the form of boar, had enacted the sport of lifting the earth from the bottom of ocean and indifferently killing the demon Hiranyaksh. Vidur then spoke to the sages as follows.
Yeah, so here we see this is actually a review of chapter 13 to 19, the whole of Varaha Leela in one shloka. So Suta Goswami says that the Lord assumed the form of a boar by his own divine potency. So Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. So he actually out of his own internal potency, he assumed this form. And in the purport, Prabhupada actually defeats Mayavad, and how the Mayavad version that when Brahman assumes a form, the form is accepted from Maya is not acceptable. Because all the Maya is superior to the conditioned soul, she is not superior to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She is under the control of the Supreme Godhead as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada in this purport is actually criticizing Mayavad. Next.
Vidura said, since you know of matters inconceivable to us, tell me, O holy sage, what did Brahma do to create living beings after evolving the Prajapatis, the progenitors of living beings?
Yeah, so we see that Vidura is saying, since you know the matters inconceivable to us. So what should we do when the matters become inconceivable to us? So Vidura is showing by his example to actually approach a spiritual master and inquire submissively. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, significant here is the word avyakta margavit, one who knows that which is beyond our perception. To know matters beyond one's perception, one has to learn from a superior authority in the line of disciplic succession. And at the end of the purport, he says, anyone in the bona fide line of disciplic succession is avyakta margavit, a personality who knows that which is beyond ordinary perception. Text 10.
Vidura inquired, how did Prajapatis, such progenitors of living entities as Marichi and Swayambhu Manu, create according to the instructions of Brahma, and how did they evolve this manifested universe?
Yeah, so now Vidura wants to know, how did the further creation took place? So 11, further questions.
Did they evolve the creation in conjunction with their respective wives? Did they remain independent in their action, or did they all jointly produce it?
So why did he ask such a strange question? What's the purpose of this strange question? That did they remain independent in their action? Did they do it with their wives, or did they do it jointly? Why would Vidura ask such a strange question? You all know the answer. So,
Because
yes, Prabhu.
Mataji, because before that, Lord Brahma created everyone. So after appearance of Manu, he want to know that both Manu and Satrupa, they jointly created a progeny, or they alone they are doing, I think.
Yeah, so before appearance of Manu, Brahma was creating Manas Putras, Manas through his mind. So Vidura wants to know that is Manu also going to do the same, or is it going to work in some other way? 12.
Maitre said, when the equilibrium of the combination of three modes of the nature was agitated by unseen activities of living entities by Mahavishnu, and by the force of time, the total material elements were produced.
Yeah, so Maitre is answering Vidura's question by describing Visarga, secondary creation. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the cause of the material creation is described here very lucidly. The first cause is Deva, or the destiny of the conditioned soul. The material creation exists for the conditioned soul who wanted to become a false lord for sense enjoyment. One cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over material nature. But in Vedic literature, we always find that the material creation is meant for sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. There is a nice verse which says that sum and substance of the conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord, he creates an atmosphere of sense enjoyment, which is called Maya. And that is the cause of material creation. So what are the 5 causes of creation mentioned in chapter 12? Five causes of creation are also the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. The 5 causes of creation are Kala, Karma, Jiva, Prakriti, and Ishwar. These are the 5 causes of creation. And Prakriti then evolves into Mahatattva when Ishvara actually glances at him, at the Prakriti. And in that glance, Shambhu, that glance is Shambhu. And Shambhu impregnates Prakriti with the karma of the Jiva souls, and Kala. This is all in the glance of Mahavishnu. So all these 5 factors together actually constitute the creation. So we can see that 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita are described by Maitreya in one verse. You know, the whole of Bhagavad Gita, the 5 topics are described in one verse. So what is this known as? Truth spoken concisely? What is it known as? Come on, Ganga Shakti, what is truth spoken concisely known as?
Realization, Mataji?
Eloquence. Eloquence is truth spoken concisely. Yeah. So basically, then Prabhupada talks about another word used here is durvitarkena. No one can argue about when and how conditional soul became desirous of sense enjoyment, but the cause is there. Material nature is an atmosphere meant only for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul, and it is created by the personality of Godhead. And then further down, Prabhupada says that the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam discusses all three Vishnus, and here also it is confirmed that Vishnu is the cause of creation. So why is Vishnu the cause of creation? And how can we understand that Vishnu is the cause of creation? And why does he need to create? Why does Vishnu need to create?
Mataji,
Say that again, Prabhu.
yes, Mataji. The cause of creation, that he want to give chance to all jivas, living entity, to come again on earth or different planets and do bhakti and return back to Godhead.
Yes, that's what Prabhupada also says. And also to give conditioned souls a chance to enjoy independently of him. Right? So, and also he creates out of his compassion. He doesn't really need to. You know, he doesn't really need to. We decided to revolt. We decided to come here. Does Krishna really need to make a facility for us to come back? He doesn't need to, but he does it out of his compassion. And then Prabhupada says, one should not mistakenly think that because the creation emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is therefore transformed into this material cosmic manifestation. He exists in his personal form, but the cosmic manifestation takes place by his inconceivable potency. The workings of that energy are difficult to comprehend, but it is understood from Vedic literature that the conditioned soul creates his own destiny and is offered a particular body by the laws of nature under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always accompanies him as Paramatma. Karmana Daiva Netrena. This is how a conditioned soul gets a body. Karmana Daiva Netrena. Text 13.
Compelled by the destiny of the jiva, the false ego, which is of three kinds, evolved from the Mahatattva, in which the element of Rajas predominates. From the ego, in turn, evolved many groups of 5 principles.
Yeah, so this is the review of 5th chapter of 3rd canto. And Prabhupada explains that what are these groups of 5 principles. He says the first group is called elementary and consists of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The second group of 5 is called Tanamatra, referring to the subtle elements, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. The third group is the 5 sense organs for acquiring knowledge, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The fourth group is of 5 working senses, speech, hands, feet, anus, and genitals. Some say there are 5 groups of 5. One group is the sense objects, one is the 5 elements, one is the 5 sense organs for acquiring knowledge, another is the senses for working, and the 5th group is the 5 deities who control these divisions. So these are the 5 groups that Maitreya is mentioning. Text 14.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you mention that what are the 5 deities who control ego?
Do you remember at the end of 2nd canto, it is mentioned that sun is for
Yes. Okay, Adhi there.
form, like the sight for eyes, for sun. So like that, different deities control different organs.
Okay, done, Mataji.
Text 14.
Unable to produce the material universe, they combined with the help of the energy of the Supreme Lord and were able to produce a shining egg.
Yeah, so here it is mentioned that the demigods were unable to join the material elements and they prayed to the Supreme Lord. We see this in the end of chapter 5. And in the beginning of chapter 6, it is mentioned that by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, the elements combine and a shining egg is formed. So the elements join together by the addition of the energy of the Lord. Text 15.
For over 1,000 years, the shiny egg lay on the waters of the casual ocean in the lifeless stage. Then the Lord entered it as Garbhodakshai Vishnu.
Yeah. So this is a review of chapter 6, that how this shiny egg actually became live, what really happened. Because Garbhodakshai Vishnu, the Lord entered in the form of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Next.
From the navel of personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshai Vishnu sprouted a lotus flower effulgent like 1,000 blazing suns. This lotus flower is a reservoir of all conditioned soul, and the first living entity who came out of the lotus flower was the omnipotent Brahma.
Yeah, so this is the review of chapter 8. And here Maitreya Muni is mentioning about Garbhodakshai Vishnu and how Brahma comes into being. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, it appears from this verse that the conditioned souls who rested within the body of the personality of Godhead after the dissolution of the last creation came out in the sum total form of the lotus. This is called Hiranyagarbha. So what is Hiranyagarbha? There are many Hiranyagarbhas. If we read Bhagavatam, we come across many Hiranyagarbhas. Who all are referred to as Hiranyagarbha?
Lord Brahma is also referred to as Hiranyagarbha.
Yeah, Brahma is also referred to as Hiranyagarbha. Who else?
Mahatattva.
Not Mahatattva, no. Who else?
The Lord himself.
Garbhodakshai Vishnu is also referred to as Hiranyagarbha. Yes. Who else? We see here, Prabhupada is mentioning the sum total of the lotus. And what else? The Virat Roop is, we'll see, the Virat Roop is also sometimes referred to as Hiranyagarbha. And in the 5th canto, we'll see that Surya is also referred to as Hiranyagarbha. So it can get pretty confusing, but depending on the context, we can see which one is referred to where. Okay, so Prabhupada says, this indicates that the living entities as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord are also of the same quality, since the Lord also diffuses his bodily glare known as Brahma Jyoti. The description of Vaikuntha Loka as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures is confirmed herewith. In Vaikuntha, the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, electricity, or fire. Every planet there is self-effulgent like the sun. We just finished with Purushottam, and this is a shloka which we were reading every day. Yeah? Yeah. Yes. Natad bhasate suryo na shashanko na pavaka. Thank you. Text 17.
When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is lying on the Garbhodak ocean, entered the heart of Brahma, Brahma brought his intelligence to bear, and with the intelligence invoked, he began to create the universe as it was before.
Yeah, now this is the review of chapter 12, and this entire purport is so brilliant. So if somebody can read, maybe if somebody can read a paragraph and the next person can read the next paragraph, maybe we can do it that way.
At a certain time, the personality of Godhead, Karandakshay Vishnu, lies in the Karan ocean and produces many thousands of universes from his breathing. Then he enters again into each and every universe as Garbhodakshay Vishnu and fills up half of each universe with his own perspiration. The other half of the universe remains vacant, and that vacant region is called outer space. Then the lotus flower sprouts from his abdomen and produces the first living creature, Brahma. Then again, as Shirodakshay Vishnu, the Lord enters into the heart of every living entity, including Brahma. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter. The Lord says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and by me are remembrance and forgetfulness made possible. As the witness of the activities of individual entities, the Lord gives each one remembrance and intelligence to act according to his desire at the time he was annihilated in his last birth in the last millennium. This intelligence is invoked according to one's own capacity and or by the law of karma.
Yeah, so we can see Prabhupada is mentioning that even after the dissolution and all the jivas are parked in the body of Vishnu, and when the next creation takes place, he is actually the cause of all the remembrance that these were your desires. in your like last life. So he infuses that remembrance in the jivas. So they can continue to enjoy, they can continue to traverse the path they were on. Next paragraph, somebody can read that.
Brahma was the first living entity, and he was empowered by the Supreme Lord to act in charge of the modes of passion. Therefore, he was given the required intelligence, which is so powerful and extensive that he is almost independent because as the Lord representative to control the universe, he is almost as independent as the highly posted manager is almost as independent. He is described here as independent because as the Lord's representative to control the universe, he is almost as powerful as the independent as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord, as a super soul within Brahma, gave him the intelligence to create. The creative power, therefore, of every living entity is not his own. It is by the grace of Lord that one can create. There are many scientists and great workers in this material world who have wonderful creative force, but they act and create only according to the direction of the Supreme Lord. A scientist may create many wonderful inventions by the direction of the Lord, but it is not possible for him to overcome the stringent laws of material nature by his intelligence. Nor is it possible to acquire such intelligence from the Lord, for the Lord's supremacy would then be hampered. It is stated in this verse that Brahma created the universe as it was before. This means that he created everything by the same name and form as in the previous cosmic manifestation.
Yeah, so inconceivable that he creates with the same name, same form when he creates again. And this sentence that Prabhupada mentions, the creative power, therefore, of every living entity is not his own. It is by the grace of God, grace of the Lord that one can create. So this is something which is of great practical application for us. That, you know, we even achieving small things, we are so prone to become proud, so prone to that false ego to surface again and again. So it is a very, very good reminder that the power, whatever I'm able to do, whatever talent I may have, whatever skill I may have, is actually Krishna's grace upon me. This is by Krishna's grace that it is there. It is not my own. So it is very, very important that, you know, we keep reminding ourselves that in case I'm able to do something, if I'm able to achieve something, it is only by the mercy of the Lord. It's a very wonderful reminder, and it can really help us very much in our spiritual life. 18.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, I'm having a question, Mataji. Mataji, when the annihilation comes and when the jivas goes in the womb of Garbhodak Sai Vishnu, so with the soul, there is Sachid Anand, no, our Sukshma, sorry, mind, intelligence, and ego. With mind, intelligence, and ego, it is also with the soul in the womb of Garbhodak Sai Vishnu, Mataji.
Yes, it is also with the soul in the Garbhodaksha Vishnu, but the Paramatma, Garbhodaksha Vishnu acts as the, you know, entire super soul. He acts as, Garbhodaksha acts as the entire super soul. So there is not, like, you know, till the time the jivas are parked, he is the super soul in whom all the jivas are parked with their subtle body, and gross body comes when next creation takes place.
So, Mataji, when we were in the womb of, at the time of annihilation in the Garbhodak Sai Vishnu, at that time, our all consciousness in the Susupta, where we can say.
Yes.
So when we come again, so Mataji, the soul feature is Satchitanand. Chit means knowledge. So we all remember about our past desire, and when we come again, and Krishna help us, or Garbhodak Sai Vishnu help us to remember those previous things.
Yes. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning, that actually the Lord, when the next creation takes place, he actually reminds us, the souls, that this was your desire. This is what you should be doing now, because this is what you wanted to achieve. And the way we understand mind, ego, and intelligence with our subtle body, it is not present in the same form in Garbhodaksha Vishnu. because these elements also evolve through creation.
Subtle element also, Mataji.
Yeah, false ego evolves, Mahatattva and then false ego. And false ego, and then when interaction with false ego in different modes results in different things, different elements.
No, Mataji, I'm asking that when Brahma going to sleep, the half annihilation till heavenly
Half
planet.
annihilation. Okay, half annihilation, the subtle body is intact.
On that time only the Jiva goes in Garbhodak Sai Vishnu Om. But in the full annihilation, we goes to in Karton Sai Vishnu.
Mahavishnu, because even the Vishnus roll up.
Ji.
Because even the Vishnus, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu rolls up into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu rolls up into Mahavishnu. So they get parked in Mahavishnu.
So in the of Garbhodak Sai Vishnu means in the night of Brahma, our Sukshma Sarir, what is it?
Yes, it is there. It is there. It is intact.
Subtle body.
Yeah, the subtle body is
With the
intact.
soul or not? I want to ask.
Sorry?
The subtle body we are having or not in the of Garbhodak Sai Vishnu? I want to ask.
Yeah. The subtle body is there.
Is there now?
Yeah. It is there. 18.
First of all, Brahma created from his shadow the coverings of ignorance of the conditioned souls. They are 5 in number and are called Tamishra, Andha Tamishra, Tamas, Moho, and Mahamoh.
Yeah, so here it is being mentioned, Prabhupada says, the conditioned souls or living entities who come to the material world to enjoy sense gratification are covered in the beginning by 5 different conditions. The first condition is a covering of Tamisra or anger. So, and then he mentions, what is this anger? The anger is, why shouldn't I enjoy like the Lord? That's the anger that, I want to enjoy like the Lord. Why shouldn't I enjoy like the Lord? And Prabhupada here also says that Mayavadis actually are actually covered by this kind of ignorance because they are trying to become God. They think, I want to be one with a God. And Prabhupada says that they are covered by Tamisra. And the next one he says, Andha Tamisra. Andha Tamisra involves considering death to be ultimate end. So whose philosophy is this? That beg, borrow, steal, but enjoy.
Charvak Muni.
Charvak Muni, yes. So Charvak Muni has this philosophy that, and Prabhupada mentions that the atheists generally think that the body is a self and that everything is therefore ended with the end of the body. Thus, they want to enjoy material life as far as possible during the existence of the body. Their theory is, as long as you live, you should live prosperously. Never mind whether you commit all kinds of so-called sins. You must eat sumptuously, beg, borrow, and steal. And if you think that by stealing and borrowing, you are being entangled in sinful activities for which you will have to pay, then just forget that misconception, because after that, everything is finished. So he's referring to those people who follow Charvak Muni. And Prabhupada used to quote about Professor Kotovsky, that, he had that philosophy. So this is the second kind of ignorance. The third is tamas. And what is tamas? Prabhupada says, this material world is also generally called tamas because 99% of its living entities are ignorant of their identity as soul. So they don't know anything about the soul. They have this Ishvara bhav that I am supposed to be enjoying. Soul is not part and parcel of Krishna. There is nothing called service. So this is tamas. And then fourth is moha. And Prabhupada mentions that as attachments increase, moha or illusion of the bodily concept of life also increases. And what is this bodily concept of life? That the bodily distinctions, egoism, I and mine, this is me and this is mine. This is moha, this is illusion. And then he says the fifth kind of ignorance is mahamoha. Mahamoha means to be mad after material enjoyment. So this is what? This is actually an extended form of moha. A person becomes mad after material enjoyment, economic development. So this is a very intense form of attachment for material enjoyment. So these were the 5 kinds of ignorances that were created in the beginning. Next.
Out of disgust, the Brahma threw off the body of ignorance, and taking this opportunity, Yakshas and Rakshas sprang for the possession of the body, which continued to exist in the form of night, and night is a source of hunger and thirst.
Yeah, so here we see that, and in this chapter we'll see that Brahma will throw off multiple bodies many times. So what does it really mean when it is said that Brahma threw off the body of ignorance? What does it mean?
Mataji, it means that he threw the body of, because his body is made by intelligence. So he threw the intelligence,
That
the
mentality,
thought,
yes.
the mentality thought.
Yeah, that mentality. So when it is mentioned that Brahma threw up the body of ignorance, it means he threw up that mentality of ignorance. And what happened? Yakshas and Rakshasas took control of this body. They took control of this body, and it exists in the form of night. And night is a source of hunger and thirst. And in 20th, it is said, overpowered by hunger and thirst, they ran to devour Brahma from all sides and cried, spare him not, eat him up. So we can see how demoniac, they have sprung from Brahma himself, and now they're trying to eat him. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, the representatives of the Yakshas and Rakshasas still exist in some countries of the world. It is understood that such uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers and holding a love feast by roasting their bodies. So, next.
Brahma, the head of demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and have become my sons. Therefore, you are Yakshas and Rakshas.
Yeah. So in the verse, we see this line, Ma mam jakshata rakshata. Then Prabhupada translate jakshata as eat and rakshata as protect. So Prabhupada mentions this. The ones who said he should be eaten are called yakshas, and the ones who said that he should not be protected became rakshasas or man-eater. The two yakshas and rakshasas are the original creation by Brahma and are represented even until today in the uncivilized men who are scattered all over the universe. Next, 22.
He then created the chief demigods who were shining with the glory of goodness. He dropped before them the effulgent form of daytime, and the demigods sportingly took possession of it.
Yeah, so now Brahma, has a different mentality. So different creatures are coming through. So we will see that this will keep happening. According to the mentality of Brahma, different creatures will come. And here, Prabhupada says, demons are born from the creation of night, and the demigods are born from the creation of day. In other words, demons like Yakshas and Rakshasas are born of the quality of ignorance, and demigods are born of the quality of goodness. Next.
Rasik Priya Sham Prabhu.
Lord Brahma then gave birth to the demons from his buttocks, and they were very fond of sex. Because they were too lustful, they approached him for copulation.
Yeah, so Prabhupada says, the more one is free from the desires of sex, the more he's promoted to the level of the demigods. And the more one is inclined to enjoy sex, the more he's degraded to the level of demoniac life. So we can see that he created demigods, and then in Brahma's mind, lust surfaced, mentality of Rajas appeared, and this mentality will come to know later became the Sandhya, and demons accepted that Sandhya. Next, 24.
The worshipful Brahma first laughed at their stupidity, but finding the shameless Asuras close upon him, he grew indignant and ran in great haste out of fear.
We see 3 motions of Brahma. First he laughed, then he became angry, and then he became fearful. when he realized, oh, they're serious, they're actually going to do that. So three emotions. Next.
He approached the personality of Godhead who bestows all wounds and who dispels the agony of his devotees and of those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He manifests his innumerable transcendental forms for the satisfaction of his devotees.
Now, this is a very nice purport. Prabhupada says, here the words Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshana means that the personality of Godhead manifests his multi-forms according to the desires of the devotees. And further on, he says, the Mayavadi philosopher thinks that although all these forms are assumed by the Lord, just as the devotees desire to see him, actually he is impersonal. From Brahma Samhita, however, we can see that this is not so. The Lord has multi-forms, Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Ananta Rupam. And then further down, Prabhupada says, towards the middle of the purport, a devotee is attached to a particular form, and it is that form that he worships. We have just described the first appearance of the boar within this universe. There are innumerable universes, and somewhere or the other, the boar form is now existing. All the forms of the Lord are eternal. It is the devotee's inclination to worship a particular form that he engages in devotional service of that to that form. And then he says the words Bhakta Nam Anurupatma Darshanam means that the Lord is always pleased to favor the devotee in the particular form in which the devotee wants to worship and render service unto him. In this verse, it is stated that Brahma approached Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This form of the Lord is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Whenever there's some trouble and Brahma has to approach the Lord, he can approach Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and it is the grace of the Lord that whatever Brahma approaches about disturbances, that whenever Brahma approaches about disturbances in the universe, the Lord gives him relief in so many ways. So here we can see that Brahma has approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he's in trouble. Next.
Lord Brahma, approaching the Lord, addressed him thus: My Lord, please protect me from these sinful demons who were created by me under your order. They are infuriated by an appetite for sex and have come to attack me.
Next.
My Lord, you are the only one capable of ending the affliction of the distressed and inflicting agony on those who never resort to your feet.
Yeah, so he does two things. One is he ends the affliction of the distressed and inflicts agony on those who don't take shelter. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the word Kleshada Tesham Anasana Padam Tava indicate that the Lord has two concerns. The first is to give protection to persons who take shelter of his lotus feet, and second is to give trouble to those who are always demoniac and who are inimical towards the Lord. Maya's function is to give afflictions to the non-devotees. So this trouble comes in what all forms? Those who are demoniac. How does the Lord, when he says that he seems to give trouble to those who are always demoniac, how do these troubles come? In what form?
Miseries, Mataji?
Miseries, but in the form of time, in the form of karma, in the form of malefic planets. All these are nothing but actually trouble to the demoniac, those who are inimical. Next, text 28.
The Lord, who can distantly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, Cast off these impure bodies of yours. And thus, commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body.
Again, Brahma gives up that mentality which resulted in creation of demoniac persons. But in the purport, Prabhupada says the Lord is described here by the word Vivekta Adhyatma Darshana. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so appears that his friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he's suffering. But for the Supreme Lord, It is not difficult. The Supreme Lord as Paramatma is sitting within the heart of every living entity, and it directly perceives the exact causes of distress. So what do we feel when we read this? What is the first thought that comes in the mind when we read this, these few sentences? Rukmini?
That one should always approach the Supreme Lord in the times of distress.
Okay. Rukmini?
Mataji, it comes in my mind that no need to tell anything to anyone. Krishna knows everything. No need to go to anyone. He knows whatever is happening good for me. And to whom I want the justification and to whom I would. When Krishna knows everything, why I need anyone else to know anything?
Good point. We'll actually have a discussion on this tomorrow. In the Kardama Muni section, we'll have this discussion. But good point. Thank you. Priya Satyabhama?
I just wanted to say one line, Mataji, that no matter what, Krishna will always take care of you.
Yeah, Krishna will always take care. In case, whenever we approach Krishna, he will take care of us. And Prabhupada says in the purport, the Lord asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demoniac principle. According to Srila Swami, Brahma's constant dropping off his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma gave up a particular mentality. Mind is the subtle body of the living entity. And we may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful, but if we give up that sinful thought, it is to be said, it may be said that we gave up the body. So very important thing to remember that giving up sinful thought means giving up that subtle body. Then it must, then Prabhupada continues. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should also be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends upon the mental status of his parents at the time he is conceived. According to Vedic system, therefore, Garbhadhan Sanskar, or the ceremony of giving birth to a child, is observed. So basically, what we can deduce is that our mentality also attracts people around us. So, depending on the mentality we have, different kind of people are attracted to us. Priya Mukund Prabhu?
So, Mataji, I was listening to a lecture earlier this morning, and the central point of the lecture was, that we cannot, get devotional service, or we will not be able to make, go back to the spiritual world unless we have a hetu ki kripa, and a hetu ki kripa is obviously not dependent upon any conditions. So even if we do our devotional service perfectly, we might be doing our morning sadhana 16 rounds. Till the time we have a hetu ki kripa, we won't find success in devotional life. Similarly, sometimes when suffering is there, if even though we say that or obviously Krishna doesn't leave us, but it may be also Krishna's desire, that we go through some trial, tribulation, to at least realign ourselves, or refocus our energies towards his lotus feet. And it may not always be the case, that if we are going through a difficult patch, that Krishna may come. Is that the case?
See, this is something that Bhagavatam, we start reading about this from the first canto of Bhagavatam, like in the case of the Pandavas, that different kind of sufferings come in the life of a devotee for different reasons. And the whole idea is that if we become surrendered to the Lord, if we take shelter of the Lord, we approach him and become dependent on him, then that suffering takes another form. It actually takes the form of realizations. It actually helps us to grow in spiritual life. Then it is not suffering anymore. Suffering means that something which is actually detrimental. But that suffering, when taken shelter of Krishna, becomes growthful in spiritual life. Premakund Prabhu is...
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. No, Mataji. I'm following Mataji.
Okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask, or was this?
No, Mataji. Just a thought that cropped up in my mind. Thank you so much for addressing, Mataji.
Rukmini?
Same was coming in my mind, which you told. And as the dharma also, which he realized that he said everything, but one thing was missing, the sanctioning of Krishna. Whatever happens in anybody's life, not in the life of devotees, just in everybody's life, the sanctioning of Krishna is also there. So if we want justification or anything, and as we are reading also that everything is coming from Krishna, any intelligent, everything, and whatever is happening in anybody's life, Krishna's sanctioning is there.
Yes. So anyone who's little intelligent can realize that if the suffering has come in my life, then there are so many things, so many lessons to be learned here. Lessons at different levels. There is not only one lesson to be learned. When suffering comes, if we take shelter of the Lord, we learn lessons at different levels. Some may be very obvious, very gross, some are very subtle. So it is, if we take shelter of the Lord, it is always beneficial. Taking shelter of the Lord in any condition will always have a positive result. And this we will see in Kardama Muni section. Okay, thank you. Okay, 29.
The body given up by Brahma took the form of the evening twilight, when the day and night meet, a time which kindles passion. The Asuras, who are passionate by nature, dominated as they are by the elements of Rajas, took it for a damsel, whose lotus feet resounded with the tinkling of anklets, whose eyes are wide with intoxication, and whose lips are covered by fine cloth, over which shone a girdle.
So Prabhupada gives a purport. He says, as early morning is the period for spiritual cultivation, the beginning of evening is the period for passion. Demoniac men are generally very fond of sex enjoyment. Therefore, they very much appreciate the approach of evening. The demons took the approach of the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, and they began to adore her in various ways. They imagined the twilight to be a very beautiful woman with tinkling bangles on her feet, a girdle on her hips, and beautiful breasts. And for their sexual satisfaction, they imagined the appearance of this beautiful girl before them. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, he says that the sounds of the birds returning to their nest, the demons perceive that as the sound of the ankle bells, because they are so lusty that they are seeing this as, that they are seeing twilight as a woman. So they can hear the birds chirping and coming back to their nest, and they think this is the sound of the ankle bells of that woman. And when they see clouds with specific shape, they think that this is a woman's body. And the pink color of sunset seems like pink dress of that woman. And a towering black clouds seems like her black hair. So the lusty, we can understand that lust can actually distort our vision. If we are inflicted too much with lust, then we don't see what is there actually in front of us. We see through our consciousness, we through that lust. So this is what is happening to these demons also. Next, 30.
Her breasts projected upward because of their clinging to each other, and they were too contiguous to admit any intervening space. She had a shapely nose and beautiful teeth. A lovely smile played on her lips, and she cast a thoughtful glance at the Asuras.
So this is not actually a woman. This is all their imagination. This lustful desire, this lustful mentality is actually giving twilight a shape of a woman. Next, 31.
Adorned with dark tresses, she hid herself as it were out of shyness. Upon seeing that girl, the Asuras were all infatuated with an appetite for sex.
So Prabhupada, the purport says, the difference between demons and demigods is that a beautiful woman can easily attract the minds of demons, but she cannot attract the mind of a godly person. Whose example comes to mind?
Haridas
The Haridas Thakur, yes. The godly person knows that this nicely dressed and ornamented attraction of high breast, high hips, beautiful nose, and fair complexion is Maya. All the beauty a woman can display is only a combination of flesh and blood. Sri Shankaracharya has advised all persons not to be attracted by the interaction of flesh and blood. They should be attracted by the real beauty in spiritual life. The real beauty is Krishna and Radha. One who's attracted by the beauty of Radha Krishna cannot be attracted by the false beauty of this material world. That is the difference between a demon and a godly person or devotee. So if we are attracted by the beauty of this material world, we can conclude that we don't have any attraction for Radha and Krishna. So, that's also like a benchmark for us all, that just to see where we are at, if we are getting attracted by the beauty of this world, shows that we don't have attraction for Radha and Krishna. So we need to really work on that. We really need to do something about that. 32.
The demon praised her. Oh, what a beauty! What rare self-control! What a budding youth! In the midst of us all who are passionately longing for her, she is moving about like one absolutely free from passion.
So just see the illusion that is created by lust. They're talking to her, thinking that this is an actual woman. Next.
Indulging in various speculations about the evening twilight, which appeared to be them endowed with the form of a young woman, the wicked-minded asuras treated her with respect and fondly spoke to her as follows.
Next, 34.
Who are you, O pretty girl? Whose wife or daughter are you? And what can be the object of your appearing before us? Why do you tantalize us, unfortunate as we are, with the priceless commodity of your beauty?
So we can say they are now flattering her. They are flattering her that, oh, pretty girl, whose wife or daughter are you? So they are flattering her. So Prabhupada often uses this line, Ati Bhakti Chorera Lakshana, that when there is too much flattery, too much devotion, that shows that there is some ulterior motive, there is some hidden agenda. So what is the hidden agenda here? Why are they flattering?
Their lusty desires.
Because they have lusty desires and they want to exploit her. So they are now flattering. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the mentality of the demons is being enamored by the false beauty of this material world is expressed herein. The demoniac can pay any price for the skin beauty of this material world. They work very hard all day and night. But the purpose of their hard work is to enjoy sex life. Sometimes they misrepresent themselves as karma yogis, not knowing the meaning of the word yoga. Yoga means to link up with the Supreme Personality of Godhead or to act in Krishna consciousness. A person who works very hard, no matter in what occupation, and who offers the result of the work to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is called a karma yogi. And so what Prabhupada is basically telling us that the only way to control this lust is through a higher taste, by dovetailing it in, dovetailing everything that we do in the service of the Lord. Somehow or other, if we can get a seed of this devotion, then we are saved. And that is what sadhana bhakti is, to somehow or other get the desire to serve Krishna instead of serving our own senses, serving our own lust, serving our own desire. Somehow or other to come to that point that where we can make a decision that I just want to serve Krishna. I don't want to do anything else. 35.
Whosoever you may be, O beautiful girl, we are fortunate in being able to see you. While playing with the ball, you have agitated the minds of all onlookers.
So Prabhupada towards the end of the purport says, if one wants to enjoy real sense enjoyment, then one must be free of entanglement of material existence. In spiritual life, we can enjoy sense enjoyment which has no end. The difference between material and spiritual enjoyment is that material enjoyment is limited. Even if a man engages in material sex enjoyment, he cannot enjoy it for long. We saw in the case, we'll see it in the case of whom? In Bhagavatam?
King Yayati.
Yayati, yes. But when the sex enjoyment is given up, then one can enter spiritual life, which is unending. So this is the key to real enjoyment. But under illusion, one may think that sense gratification can lead in some enjoyment. But once one realizes that actually the real sense enjoyment comes in the spiritual existence and strives towards that, that's when one actually starts getting the success of real sense enjoyment. Text 36.
O beautiful woman, when you strike the bouncing ball against the ground, with your hand again and again. Your lotus feet do not stay in one place. Oppressed by the weight of your grown breast, your waist becomes fatigued, and your clear vision grows dull, as it were. Braid your comely hair.
Yeah, so we can see they are completely agitated by the sex desire and they have lost all discrimination by now. Text 37.
Gita Krishna, Krishna Prabhuji.
The Asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, throwing herself in her enduring form, and they seized her.
So Prabhupada says in the purport, the Asuras are described here as Mudhadhiya. Mudhadhiya means unintelligent, meaning that they are captivated by ignorance, just like the ass. The demons were captivated by the false, glaring beauty of this material form, and thus they embraced her. Next.
With a laugh full of deep significance, the worshipful Brahma then evolved by his own loveliness, which seemed to enjoy itself by itself, the host of Gandharvas and Apsaras.
Yeah, so now Brahma has a different mentality. Now Brahma has this mentality of enjoying music and dancing. So who have come into being? Gandharvas and Apsaras. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, the musicians in the upper planetary system are called Gandharvas and the dancing girls are called Apsaras. After being attacked by the demons and evolving a form of a beautiful woman in the twilight, Brahma created Gandharvas and Apsaras. So music and dancing employed in sense gratification are to be accepted as demoniac, but the same music and dancing, when employed in glorifying the Supreme Lord, as Kirtan, are transcendental and they bring about a life completely fit for spiritual enjoyment. So Brahma created these Gandharvas for whom? For spiritual enjoyment. They are meant for spiritual enjoyment, for giving pleasure to the Lord. 39.
The glorious Brahma that next evolved from his sloth the ghosts and fiends. But he closed his eyes when he saw them stand naked with their hair scattered.
No. 39.
After that, Brahma gave up that shining and beloved form of moonlight. Vishwavasu and other Gandharvas gladly took possession of his.
Yeah, so after the creation of Gandharvas and Apsaras, now Brahma has given up that particular form also. And this particular form, which was basically meant for enjoyment of music and dance, has been taken up by the Apsaras and Gandharvas. So I'm thinking let's stop here for a break. Let's take a 15-minute break. We'll come back at 11:40. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Text 41.
Hi, Ramanand Prabhuji.
Sorry, 40. We have to do 40, right?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Okay, ma'am. Just a minute. The glorious Brahma next evolved from his sloth, the ghost and fiends, but he closed his eye when he saw them stand naked with their hair scattered.
Yeah. So what next happened? Next, Brahma, from his laziness, the ghost and the mentality of laziness resulted in the creation of ghosts and fiends. So we can see this duality, of bad and goods. Sometimes when the mentality is bad, the creation is bad. When the mentality is good, the creation is good. So Prabhupada says in the purport, ghosts and mischievous hobgoblins are also the creation of Brahma. They are not false. All of them are meant for putting conditioned soul into various miseries. So they act as instruments for keeping conditioned souls in misery. Text 41.
The ghost and hobgoblins took possessions of the body thrown off in the form of yawning by Brahma, the creator of the living entities. This is also known as the sleep which causes drooling. The hobgoblins and ghosts attack men who are impure, and their attack is spoken of as insanity.
Purport by Prabhupada. The disease of insanity or being haunted by ghosts takes place in an unclean state of existence. Here it is clearly stated that when a man is fast asleep and saliva flows from his mouth and he remains unclean, ghosts then take advantage of his unclean state and haunt his body. In other words, those who drool while sleeping are considered unclean and are subject to be haunted by ghosts or to go insane. Wow. Text 42. Yeah, Rukmini, you have a question?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, devotees generally try to be in the mode of goodness, but devotees, I have seen personally that devotees are also haunted by ghosts. So how to understand this, Mataji? And from the part as we are reading, is it not very, obvious, like if saliva is coming up, if one is sleeping and ghosts are taking advantage?
Yeah. So what's your question?
Two questions, Mataji. The devotees, they try to be in the mode of goodness, then even they haunted by ghosts. So how to understand that? Secondly, the saliva, this is very obvious that if one is sleeping and in that state, ghosts are taking advantage, because it is, can it be like it is not in the anybody's hand?
Oh,
like
okay.
Both
okay.
the.
Okay, so I'll try to answer this in various ways. The second question, I'll start first. That saliva coming from the mouth while sleeping. So according to Ayurveda, it happens if you eat late or heavy food at night. It happens because of that. So that's one thing. And another thing, even if it is happening with a devotee, but we are protected because of two things. What are those two things? One is the Kanti Mala, and the second is the Tilak. So these two things protect our devotee. But despite wearing Kanti Mala, sometimes we can still see some ghostly influence on devotees. So it actually, the ghosts are attracted by the consciousness of a person. So even if we may be a devotee, there may be certain karmic things which are resulting in certain kind of consciousness, due to which one may end up attracting the ghosts. There's actually a difference between a Brahma Rakshasa and a ghost, and they are all different categories. So I will not go in detail about these categories. So we see normally like Brahma Rakshasas they get attracted towards very exalted personalities because they are looking for salvation. But ghosts get attracted to a person whose consciousness is not so pure.
Okay, thank you, Mats.
42.
Recognizing himself to be full of desire and energy, the worshipful Brahma, the creator of the living entities, evolved from his own invisible form, from his navel, the host of sadhyas and pitas.
Yeah, so now from his invisible form, who came? Pitras and Sadhyas. 43.
The Pitas themselves took possession of the invisible body, the source of their existence. It is through the medium of this invisible body that those well versed in the rituals offer oblations to the sadhyas and pitas in the form of their departed ancestors on the occasion of Shraddha.
So Prabhupada explains how this Shraddha should be done and what really happens. Prabhupada says, Shraddha is a ritualistic performance observed by the followers of the Vedas. Therefore, there is a yearly occasion of 15 days when ritualistic religionists follow the principle of offering oblations to departed souls. Thus, those fathers and ancestors who by freaks of nature might not have a gross body, that means in ghostly existence, for material enjoyment, can again gain such bodies due to the offering of the Shraddha oblations by their descendants. The performance of Shraddha or offering oblations with prasad is still current in India. Then Prabhupada says in the second paragraph, the devotee of the Lord or one who is in Krishna consciousness, however, does not need to perform such ritualistic ceremonies as Shraddha because he is always pleasing the Supreme Lord. Okay, so here from his invisible body, the Pitas and Sadhyas came and they are not visible because they took possession of Brahma's invisible body. Rukmini?
Mataji, can you please help me understand that Lord Chaitanya, when he went to Gaya, he also did the Shraddha. So if you can please help me to understand.
Yeah, Lord acts in different ways to set an example for people. So Lord obviously doesn't need to do it, but he does it to set an example.
No, actually I wanted to ask like that Prabhupada is saying that it is mentioned in the Vedas, the person who follows Vedas, they do this ritualistic thing. And it's happening in India. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, our parents also used to do it. But now we have come, now Prabhupada is saying there is no need to do. Devotee doesn't need to do it. Devotee doesn't need to do it.
What does Prabhupada say? Just Prabhupada, what does he say? Just read it again.
The devotee of the Lord or one who is in Krishna consciousness, however, does not.
Wait. One who is in Krishna consciousness. One who is a devotee of the Lord. These are deep words. Yes. They are not to be taken cheaply.
Yes, it's.
Yes. Are we in Krishna consciousness? Are we really devotees?
No. Practitioners.
Practitioners.
Yes.
Amrendra Hari Prabhu.
So Mataji, we should do.
We should do or not do. Depends on your state. How can anybody else say that? It depends on your consciousness. Are you in Krishna consciousness? If yes, no. If not, then do it. So as simple as that. Okay. Nobody else can actually tell us like whether we should do it or not. It is something that we have to figure out for ourselves where we are at. And even for a devotee, even when they do the Shraddha ceremony, they first offer it to the deities. So after that, the prasad is offered. So we do prasadam distribution in so many different ways. So offering prasadam to descendants, what's wrong in that? Rukmini?
Mataji, so Mahaprabhu is a Krishna and he comes in the form of a devotee. Mahaprabhu is a devotee. So Mahaprabhu is doing Shraddha in Gaya. So how to understand that Mahaprabhu in Krishna in the form of devotee is doing this?
Yeah, because Mahaprabhu's followers are not all pure devotees. All kind of people follow Mahaprabhu, right? So he's setting an example. And Mahaprabhu's Leela, there is an external, thing, and there's an internal thing. Internal is that's the time when he meets Ishvara Puri. That's the time when he actually starts Sankirtan. So there are different aspects to Mahaprabhu Leela. It is not just that we can't even just see it from one angle of vision, that he has gone to do Shraddh. That's also a way of meeting Ishwar Puri. And that's also a way of actually introducing Harinam Sankirtan. That's
Mataji, your one sentence should be, I think, underlined, that what is the bad in doing that? What is the harm?
Yeah. What's the harm? We feed prasadam to everybody. So feeding prasadam to Pitras, what's the problem with that?
So that should be the general message, na?
Yeah. So at the same time, if there are some devotees who are at that level, who are very exalted, if they don't practice this, that's okay too, because, like Prabhupada is saying, they don't need to, because if you satisfy Krishna, you satisfy everybody else. But the underline is, where are we at?
Actually, the word is very serious. The Prabhupada said, those who are pleasing Krishna.
Yeah.
That is thing.
Pleasing and who are in Krishna consciousness. One who's a devotee and who is in Krishna consciousness. We could be devotees, but not in Krishna consciousness. So very heavy words. They are not cheap words. Rukmini Priya?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, as we say that Advaitacharya also performed Shraddh ceremony, and he feed Vaishnavas and Haridas Thakur first instead of the.
Yeah, you also see that because you also have to see the society around them. It's a Vedic society. So you don't want to send, we don't want to send this message that we are not following what is in Vedas. Like when Krishna Balaram temple was inaugurated, Prabhupada says in so many places that the deities are installed by Harinam Sankirtan. And yet an elaborate, festival was organized. So many yagyas were done, whole everything in elaboration. And when the devotees asked him that, Prabhupada, you said, and then he also told devotees, you just perform kirtan. The deities are going to be installed by your kirtan. So they asked that, Prabhupada, if that's the case, then why this elaborate yagya? So Prabhupada said, because the society will not accept. These, all these people from Vrindavan would not accept this as a bona fide temple if we don't do it this way. So that's the reason. So Advaita Acharya also does this because this is a Vedic society. And the signal, we don't want to send a signal that Vaishnavas don't follow Vedas. Is that okay? Rukmini Priya Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
Amrendra Hari Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Mataji, my question is that the brahmacharis and sannyasis don't have son, and the Shraddh is done by our descendants. So, and it's not guaranteed that anyone can return back to Godhead, and anyone can, maybe our misdeeds, if we're not able to get the next body, then what will happen of brahmachari and sannyasi, Mataji?
Krishna is going to take care of you. Krishna, if you have given your life to Krishna, Krishna will take care of you. And even if you've tried to give your life to Krishna, not really given, even if you have tried, Krishna will take care of you. So no need to worry. And a devotee will not go into a ghostly existence. That is Trayato, what is it? Swalpamapihi?
Yes, sir.
Bhayat, right? That devotee is saved. Don't need to worry.
Mataji, but Amrindra Prabhu's question is not about himself. It is about the ancestors.
He's talking about sannyasis and brahmacharis who don't have descendants. Who don't have descendants. So who's going to do Shraddh for them? Is that your question? Amrendra Prabhu, I understood it like that.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Okay. No, okay, Mataji. Okay, then it's fine. It is a wonderful explanation, Mataji. Love it.
Okay, thank you. 44.
Then Lord Brahma, by his ability to be hidden from the vision, created Siddhas and Vidharas and gave them that wonderful form of his known as Antardhana.
Yeah, so Antardhan, in Hindi we understand what Antardhan is. Antardhan means that these living creatures can be perceived to be present, but they cannot be seen by vision. that you can perceive that they are around, but they cannot be seen. 45.
Gita Krishna Prabhuji.
One day, Brahma, creator of the living entities, beheld his own reflection in the water and admiring himself, he evolved Kinpurushas as well as Kinras out of that.
Yeah. So can you even imagine what it means to be Brahma? You know, every time he has a mentality, the creation is like that. So look at the power of Brahma. You know, we can't imagine what is his power. He's thinking in a certain way, his mentality is in a certain way, and that's the kind of creation that comes about. So now he, by his own reflection, now he's generating Kim Purushas and Kinnaras. Next.
The Kim Purushas and Kinnaras took possession of that shadowy form left by Brahma. That is why they and their spouses sing his praises by recounting his exploits at every daybreak.
Yeah. So who are these Kim Purushas and Kinnaras? Who knows?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Just like Hanumanji and monkeys in the human form, monkey face in the human form are called Kim Purusha.
Yes. Yes, that is why they are called Kim Purushas. Are they humans? Kim Purushas. They are monkeys who look very much like humans. They resemble the humans, and that is why Kim Purushas. And Kinnaras? Garuda. So Garuda belongs to Kinnara. And Kinnara means Kim Nara. That is, they resemble the human beings a little bit. And that's why, that is this Nara or is this somebody else? So that is why Kinnara. So, you know, this particular reference comes later, I think in 11th canto, where it is mentioned that Garuda is from Kinnara family. So Kinnaras have the same feature as Garuda, like humans with wings. And Prabhupada says the time early in the morning, 1.5 hours before sunrise, is called Brahma Muhurat. During the Brahma Muhurat, spiritual activities are recommended. Spiritual activities performed early in the morning have a greater effect than in any other part of the day. 47.
Once Brahma lay down with his body stretched at full length, he was very concerned that the work of creation has not proceeded apace. And in a sullen mood, he gave up that body too.
Yes, just see how many bodies Brahma gives up, how many mentalities Brahma gives up constantly. Next, 48.
Oh dear Vidur, the hair that dropped from that body transformed into snakes, and even while the body crawled along with its hands and feet contracted, there sprang from its ferocious serpents and nagas with their hoods expanded.
Yeah, so he was in the mode of ignorance in a sense that he was feeling lazy and also in a sullen mood. So now the creatures that have come up by giving up that body are snakes, nagas with many hoods. Next.
One day, Brahma, the self-born, the first living creature, felt as if the object of his life has been accomplished. At that time, he evolved from his mind the Manus who promote the welfare activities of the universe.
Yeah, so you see, when Brahma is in mode of goodness, satisfaction sets in, and then comes who? The Manu. The Manus come and they will now do the further creation. Text 50.
The self-possessed creator gave them his own human form. On seeing the Manus, those who had been created earlier, the demigods, the Gandharvas, and so on, applauded Brahma, the Lord of the universe.
Yeah, so this tells us that the Manus have a human body because the self-possessed creator gave them his own human form to the Manus. They have a human form. And when the others saw that Manus have been created, they applauded, because they could see that this is not an ordinary creation. This is special. Next.
They prayed, O Creator of the universe, we are glad. What you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic acts have now been established soundly in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations.
So the demigods and all are now happy. All the devas and upadevas, they're happy that now when the Manus have come and ritualistic ceremonies will start, so we will get sacrificial offerings, we'll get to eat something. So now they're happy that this is going to happen. So we can see that first the creation happens in Brahma's mind, his mentality, and then it becomes manifest. So it is first in the mentality and then it becomes manifest. So same thing happens in a little different way with us, that something comes in the mind, the desire, and then the result happens. And what is that result?
Willing.
Yam yam vapi smaran bhava, right? That at the time of the death, the kind of desire, the kind of consciousness that is there will determine the next destination, the next body. Yeah. So Prabhupada in the purport says that the Lord confirms there that in the beginning of creation, Brahma created the Manus along with the ritualistic sacrificial method and blessed them. Continue these sacrificial rites and you will be gradually elevated to your proper position of self-realization and will also enjoy material happiness. All the living entities created by Brahma are conditioned souls and are inclined to lord it over the material nature. The purpose of sacrificial rituals is to revive gradually the spiritual realization of the living entities. This is the beginning of life within this universe. These sacrificial rituals, however, are intended to please the Supreme Lord. Unless one pleases the Supreme Lord or unless one is Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy either in material enjoyment or in spiritual realization. So this is a very, very important line. I'll read it again. Unless one pleases the Supreme Lord or unless one is Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy either in material enjoyment or in spiritual realization. So if we want to be happy, then what do we have to do? Please the Supreme Lord, or at least the intent to please the Supreme Lord should be there. The intent to please the Supreme Lord should be there. So when I talk about intent, how is it different from actually pleasing the Supreme Lord? Why is desiring to, or in the intent to please Supreme Lord is different from pleasing the Supreme Lord? Why is that distinction being made that the intent has to be there? Rukmini.
I'm not so sure, but I want to just try. Our senses are limited. Body, as we are in a material world, we have subtle body, and there is a limitation to the body. So whatever we want to please Lord, we are not able to, because we have to spend so much time in eating, sleeping. So most of the time, but I think that just goes in that. If one is a Grasta ashram, he has to maintain that ashram. So most of the time, even if the intent is there, desire is there, then even the person from heart desire, so not able to please the Lord. So just one point, this message.
Okay, good try. Anybody else?
The Lord may be pleased even though our intent might not be there. Hence, it is important that we should have the intent.
Yeah, so can you give example?
Like in general, somebody might have helped some person thinking it to be some poor person or some general person, but that person might be a great devotee of the Lord, so the Lord might be very happy. But his intent was not there to please the Lord. He just helped that person.
Yeah, from the scriptures, we can see the example that the Lord tasted rasa. We just saw with Hiranyaksha. He is very happy. He's tasting that rasa, right? But is that really devotional service? When the Lord kills Kamsa, he's very happy. When he fights all the demons in Vrindavan, he's very happy. He's enjoying. Krishna's Rasraj, he's enjoying. But is it really devotional service?
No, Mataji.
No. But if the intent is there, and one may not really be pleasing the Lord. If my intent is to please the Lord, but actually the Lord is not pleased, it is still considered as devotional service. How? We can see that in the example of Yashoda. That her desire to, tie Krishna is why? Because she wants to please the Lord by feeding him milk and butter of the quality that he would like to have. So she ties him up. Now, when Krishna is tied, is he happy? He's crying. He's not happy at all. Right? But is that devotional service? Is Yashoda considered as a devotee, and is that act considered as devotional service? Yes, because the intent was to please the Lord. So this is a very important distinction that is made in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that rather than pleasing the Lord, the intent to please the Lord is what really determines whether it is bhakti or not. So that is something that we should also remember. The intention should be to please the Lord at everything that we do. Priya Satyabhama?
Mataji, I have a question. We just made, talked about Hiranyaksh and, the Lord enjoying the Veer Rasa. But when we read the chapter on Jai Vijay, we clearly saw that they only wanted to, come to material world to serve the Lord so that they can help the Lord enjoy the Veer Rasa. Then why are we saying here that this was not an act of devotional service on the part of, Jai and Vijay when they let the Lord enjoy Veer Rasa? I mean, I'm a little confused now.
Yeah, very, very good question. The one that we talked about, that Jai and Vijay wanted to take on that curse because they wanted to serve the Lord, that is the internal meaning given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. That is given by our acharyas. But when you look at it externally, they came in the form of a demon, and their coming here, or Hiranyakashipu coming here, is not pleasing to the Lord. Their fighting is not pleasing to the Lord. In that sense, he does not consider it as an act of devotional service. Pleasing to him in the point of view of rasa, that he is getting to enjoy the Veera rasa, but it is not considered as devotional service. The devotional service, by definition, has to be favorable. Anukulen. Is that okay?
I'm still confused, Mataji, but because Jai and Vijay wanted to serve the Lord. That's the only reason they came to material world. They said, okay, so be it. If they have to fall down for this.
That what you're saying is the internal reason given by our acharyas, that's the reason they wanted to take the curse upon themselves. But if you look at how the pastime unfolds, we see that they got cursed because they in a way offended the sages. The curse came because they offended the sages, and that's why they were cursed, and that's why they had to come in the demoniac species because of the curse. And that is why when they are born, there are so many inauspicious signs, because they are coming as demons.
Got it, Mataji. Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
52.
Having equipped himself with austerity and penance, adoration, and mental concentration and absorption in devotion, accompanied by dispassion, and having controlled his senses, Brahma, self-born living entity, involved great sages as his beloved sons.
So what are the qualities of these sages? Who were born from Brahma next? What are the qualities?
Austerity, penance, mental concentration.
Yes, austere penance, mental concentration, absorption in devotion, and accompanied by dispassion. These are the quality of these sages who next came about. Because we read that it is dependent on Brahma's mentality, what kind of creation will take place. 53, last verse of this chapter.
Each one of
these sons, the unborn creator of the universe gave a part of his own body, which was characterized by deep meditation, mental concentration, supernatural power, austerity, adoration, and appreciation.
Yeah. So Prabhupada says that in Bhagavad Gita it is stated that those who are too attached to seeking material possessions and material enjoyment cannot reach yoga samadhi, absorption in Krishna consciousness. Propaganda that one can enjoy this life materially and at the same time spiritually advance is simply bogus. The principles of renunciation are four: to avoid illicit sex life, to avoid meat eating, to avoid intoxication, and to avoid gambling. These four principles are called tapasya or austerity. To absorb the mind in the supreme in Krishna consciousness is the process of spiritual realization. So what are the lessons that we get from Rama's life? From this chapter, what are the lessons that we are getting?
Mataji, whatever mentality we'll have, we create such type of person only.
Yeah, so Brahma, so in our life, so our mentality will reflect in our dealings and our vision, right? What else?
Mataji,
Rukmini?
can I? Mataji, just want to try only. So, Mataji, one should try, I should try to be Krishna conscious only. So my dealings would be in that way, in that manner. If I really want to be Krishna conscious whole time, I should try to 24/7, I should try to mold my life in this way or plan like this way, so it will reflect in my dealings.
Yeah, good, very good. Amrendra Hari Prabhu.
When Brahma he was having problem, he prayed to Lord. So we should also pray to Lord when we have a problem.
Yeah. So
And
normally what do we do when the problems come? What is how do we really deal with the problems?
sometimes we criticize others or we use our own mind or this thing.
Yeah, sometimes we resort to criticism that, oh, see, I didn't deserve this and this has happened. And second, sometimes we use our mind and go with whatever the mind tells us. And at the end, when everything is frustrated, nothing really works, then we realize, oh, maybe I should pray. Maybe I should take shelter of the Lord. So from here, we get the lesson that the first shelter is the Lord, that He's the first resort. Whenever and wherever, whatever happens, we first take shelter of the Lord. Okay, nice.
But the second teaching, when we'll get any service and if any challenge comes in our service or we'll not able to execute our service in a nice way, we should report our seniors. As in these teachings, like the demons comes and they are sexually attracted towards Brahma, then Brahma go to Lord Vishnu and ask that what I should do. So
Yeah, we should take guidance from our spiritual authorities. Yes. Rukmini?
Mataji, in the text 43, there were two words, sadhyas and pitas. So Mataji, can you please tell sadhyas?
I don't know. I mean, I researched everywhere what are these sadhyas, but acharyas don't really comment on it. I've not seen anything. So I'm assuming there are some, some beings like pitas only in similar kind of a planet. Don't know. Does anybody else have an idea?
Are they Sradhavas?
Are they?
Sradhadev.
Shradhadev.
Huh?
You're saying Shradhadev? No, I'm not sure, Prabhu. Maybe they are. I don't know. I mean, I did not get any reference. Maybe they are. I can't comment. Jagat Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Just add on the point ki if we are not attracted, if we are attracted by the material beauty of this world, we are not attracted by the Rani.
Yeah, if we are attracted by the material beauty, Prabhupada talks about lust, over how to overcome lust. That we are attracted to this material beauty because we don't have enough attraction for Radha and Krishna. Also, as preachers, there is a great responsibility because we'll make followers according to our mentality, cheaters and the cheated. Those are the kind of, if we have a cheating mentality, then those are the kind of people who are going to get attracted to us. So there's so many lessons at different levels in every pastime in Bhagavatam. So like I said last time, it's a good practice that every time we finish a section or finish a chapter, we should write down what are the lessons from this particular section or this particular chapter, which I can apply in my practical life. It is very helpful, and that's the way one can actually apply Bhagavatam in one's daily life. Next, now let's, I'll just read the translations once again before we start the next chapter. To each one of these sons, the unborn creator of the universe gave a part of his own body, which was characterized by deep meditation, mental concentration, supernatural power, austerity, adoration, and renunciation. So what did 4 Kumaras, what were the qualification of 4 Kumaras? What did 4 Kumaras get? So it is mentioned when 4 Kumaras were generated, it was mentioned that they got Tapasya, Yoga, Sankhya, and Vairagya. These were the 4 qualities that they got. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 20th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. Now the next conversation is starting, chapter 21, conversation between Manu and Kardama. Yeah, please start.
Text 1. Vidura said, the line of Swambhuva Manu was most esteemed. O worshipful sage, I beg you, give me an account of this race whose progeny multiplied through sexual intercourse.
Yeah, now Vidura wants to know about Swayambhuva Manu. Why does he want to know about Swayambhuva Manu? Why does he want to hear about Manu?
Because creation will be done by Swambhuva now.
Swayambhuva Manu, okay. And Prabhupada gives a reason in the purport where he says that many good devotee kings will appear. Devotees will appear in his dynasty. So that is why Vidura wants to hear. And also the Acharyas give another reason that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to come. And who's that?
Kapil.
Yeah, he's going to come. And then, that's why he wants to hear, because he knows that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to appear in this line. So please tell me more about Swayambhuva Manu. Text 2.
The 2 great sons of Swayambhuva Manu, Priyavrata and Uttanpad, ruled the world, consisting of 7 islands, just according to religious principles.
Yeah. So we'll come to know that Swayambhuva Manu will have 5 children, 3 daughters and 2 sons. So the 2 sons are Priyavrata and Uttanpad. And Priyavrata is the older one, Uttanpad is the younger son. And in the 4th canto, we will hear about Uttanapad. And in the 5th canto, we will hear about Priyavrata. So one would wonder that Uttanpad is younger. Why is, the description of Uttanapad coming in the 4th canto before Priyavrata? So the Acharyas explain that, the Maitreya Muni is so eager to talk about Dhruva, a great devotee who will appear in through Uttanapad, that he starts talking about Uttanapad before he talks about Priyavrata. The devotees are so eager to talk about the Lord and his devotees that's how, in that order, he will explain. And in this canto, we will hear about his first daughter, Devahuti. And then in the 4th canto, we will hear about Akuti and Prasuti, those 2 other daughters. And we will hear about Uttanapad. And in the 5th canto, we'll hear about Priyavrata. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport, Srimad Bhagavatam is also a history of the great rulers of different parts of the universe. In this verse, the names of Priyavrata and Uttanapad, sons of Swayambhuva, are mentioned. They ruled this earth, which is divided into 7 islands. These 7 islands are still current as Asia, Europe, Africa, America, Australia, and the North and South Poles. There is no chronological history of all the Indian kings in Srimad Bhagavatam, but the deeds of the most important kings such as Priyavrata and Uttanapad and many others like Lord Ramachandra and Maharaj Yudhishthira are recorded. Because the activities of such pious kings are worth hearing, people may benefit by studying their histories. So that's the reason Uttanapad, because Dhruva will come, so Uttanapad is mentioned before Priyavrata. Text 3.
O holy Brahman, O sinless one, you have spoken of this daughter, known by the name Devhuti, as the wife of sage Kardam, the lord of created beings.
Yeah, so now he's going to talk about Devhuti. He wants to know about Devhuti. He's not now talking about here before this, the mention of Priyavrata and Uttanapad came, but now he suddenly jumped to Devhuti. Why?
Because Kapil Dev is the son of
Because
Dev.
Kapil Dev will come. So now he's eager to hear about Lord Kapil. So he's saying, you first tell me about Devahuti, because I want to hear about the Lord. A similar thing, similar lines happens in the 9th canto also, when Yayati asks his son for exchanging youth, that please exchange your youth with me. His oldest son is who? Yadu. His oldest son is Yadu, who refuses. His youngest son Puru agrees. But it is mentioned that Yadu does not get any negative reaction for refusing his father's request. Does anybody know why?
Because he was devotee of Lord and he thought first that human form is very rare, and if I'll give my youthfulness, then how I will able to do bhajan. And if my father asked my youthfulness for his bhajan, that is all right, but he want for his.
Yeah, that's one reason. And the other reason is because he knows in his dynasty Krishna is going to come and he's eager to bring Krishna. And that's why he tells his father, no, sorry, I'm not giving up my youth, because then the whole process of Krishna appearing is going to get delayed. So that's why he refuses that. No, I won't do it. So everything is actually decided by appearance of the Lord. The devotees want to hear about him. The devotees want him to appear as soon as possible. And that is why also in 10th canto we see that Narad Muni will go and tell Kamsa about, that Krishna is actually born and he is, he's staying in, he was born to Vasudeva and Devaki and he's staying with Nanda. And apparently it looks like such a disservice that as a devotee, why would you do that? Why would you go and tell a demon that, that Krishna is born and he's staying in Nandagram. He's actually born, he's in Gokul. Why would you do that? So the Acharyas explain that Narad Muni does that because he wants to see Krishna come to Mathura as soon as possible. And Vasudeva and Devaki treat this as a blessing, even though Kansa puts them back in the prison, but they take it as a blessing because they know that now Krishna will come and he will rescue us and we will get to see him finally. So we can see that the devotees don't think of the apparent distress, but everything is geared around Krishna's appearance, hearing about Krishna, knowing about Krishna. Everything is geared around that. So now he's saying, O holy Brahmana, O sinless one, you have spoken of his daughter, known by the name Devahuti as the wife of the sage Kardama, the lord of created beings. Prabhupada gives in the purport. Here we are speaking of Swayambhuva Manu, but in Bhagavad Gita, we hear about Vaivashvata Manu. The present age belongs to the Vaivashvata Manu. Swayambhuva Manu was previously ruling, and his history begins from the Vara age or the millennium, when the Lord appeared as a boar. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and in the end of each Manu, there are particular incidents. The Vaivasvat Manu of Bhagavad Gita is different from Swayambhuva Manu. Amrendra Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Mataji, the kingdom of Manu, or with Manu, the six all, the jaise Indra or Sahayak Devata Indra ke, and the Manvantara avatar all come. So so Manu is the king of everyone in the
Yes.
one
Yes.
Manvantar. So when the Manu rules, first question is
on the earth planet. That's why he says that, if you want me to create, then earth has to be there.
okay. So how Manu is king or he's above the Indra also or Saptarshi
Because
also?
in his rule, all these demigods also change. The sun changes, Indra changes, all the demigod changes in Manu's rule. And a lot of time, these Manus are incarnations of the Lord. Like Swayambhuva Manu is known as the incarnation of the Lord. And we also see that Manu is not an ordinary personality. He's a Mahajan also. When the 12 Mahajans are counted, Manu is among them. He is not an ordinary personality. Indra is not a Mahajan.
Yes. And second question, that means when they appear in Satyuga, so at that time the age of a human being is 1 lakh of year. But we see in 5th canto that Priyat Maharaji rules 56 crore of years. So in which age or what time they appear so that they live so much time? Their life is so much long.
See, Swayambhuva Manu, 1 day of Brahma is how long? What is the length of Brahma's 1 day?
43 means 1,000 of
311 something, right? Like it's
Yes.
that calculation is given in Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
And in 1 day of Brahma, how many Manus are there? 14.
14.
So divide that by 14. What is the rule of each Manu?
71.3 Chaturyug.
Yeah? How much is that?
71 cycles of 4 millennium.
Yeah. 71 cycles of Chaturyuga.
Yeah.
Each Manu. Because in Brahma's 1 day, 1,000 cycles of Chaturyuga go. So 14 Manus. So every cycle, every Manu has how many cycles? 71 cycles.
71.
How much is that? How many crores of years is that?
So long, Mataji.
So yeah. So this is inconceivable for us. These kind of calculations, we just read and we understand, okay, long time, but we cannot really conceive the age and, their reign, how long is the reign, what is the age of Brahma, what is the age of Manu, very inconceivable.
And Mataji, in the rule of Priyarat or Prithu also, we see that the description explains about the earth. It's not on the earth, or it seems that they rule somewhere else than the earth, like that.
Who rules somewhere else? Say that again.
Priyat Maharaj.
Priyavrat Maharaj rules somewhere else. You remember Priyavrata when he takes his chariot, then all the islands are created because of the chariot?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, and Prithu Maharaj actually, actually tries to punish the earth because she does not give any more produce in the form of vegetables and herbs.
Yes,
So it is on the earth. It is very much on the earth.
And
but Priyavrata,
yes, please.
Yeah, Priyavrata Maharaj takes his chariot around because he wants to create another son. But the rule is very much on the earth.
Okay, Mataji.
Okay. Yeah, 4.
How many offspring did that great yogi beget through the princess, who was endowed with 8-fold perfection in the yoga principles? Oh, pray tell me this, for I am eager to hear it.
Yeah, so this particular translation can be understood, who was endowed with 8-fold perfection in the yoga principles, both for the great yogi and for the princess. So Prabhupada explains that Kardama Muni, or this yogi that he's being referred to, is actually Mahayogi. He's Mahayogi and his wife Devhuti is Yoga Lakshana, or one advanced in yoga. So they are both advanced in yoga. So, and then Prabhupada explains about Ashtanga Yoga. What exactly is Ashtanga Yoga? And then he mentions that The husband and wife, Kardama and Devhuti, were advanced in yoga practice. The husband was a Mahayogi, great mystic, and the wife was a Yoga Lakshana, or one advanced in yoga. They united and produced children. Formerly, after making their lives perfect, great sages and saintly persons used to beget children. So first they used to make the life perfect, and then they would have a child. So as a result, the child, the offspring would be of that quality. And then he says that they united and produced children. Formerly, after making their lives perfect, great sages and saintly persons used to beget children. Otherwise, they strictly observed the rules and regulations of celibacy. And then he says, Brahmacharya is required for perfection of self-realization and mystic power. There is no recommendation in the Vedic scriptures that one can go on enjoying material sense gratification at one's whims as one likes, and at the same time become a great meditator by paying a rascal some money. So Prabhupada is making it very clear that sense gratification and spiritual realization go ill together. They don't go together at all. Next.
O holy sage, please tell me how the worshipful Ruchi and Daksha, the son of Brahma, generated children after securing as their wives the other two daughters of Swayambhu Manu.
Yeah, so then he says that Ruchi is married to, will be married to Akuti and Daksha to Prasuti. So after that, tell me also about those two daughters. So Prabhupada says, all the great personalities who increase the population in the beginning of the creation are called Prajapatis. Brahma is also known as Prajapati, as were some of his later sons. Swayambhuva Manu is also known as Prajapati, as is Daksha, another son of Brahma. Swayambhuva had two daughters, Akuti and Prasuti. The Prajapati Ruchi married Akuti and Daksha married Prasuti. These couples and their children produced immense number of children to populate the entire world. Vidura's inquiry was, how did they beget the population in the beginning? Text 6.
The great sage Maitreya replied, commanded by Lord Brahma to beget children in the worlds, the worshipful Kardama Muni practiced penance on the bank of the river Saraswati for a period of 10,000 years.
Yeah, so here now Maitreya is starting to respond to the queries of Vidura, and since he wanted to know more about Devhuti in the beginning, he starts with Kardama Muni. And Prabhupada in the purport talks about that yoga is not what it is normally thought to be. Yoga is very different. And then he gives example that how, in Western societies, people think that by meditating for 15 minutes, they can become God. And that is all bogus. Next, 7.
During that period of penance, the sage Kardama, by worship through the devotional service and trance, propagated the personality of Godhead, who is the quick bestower of all blessings upon those who flee to him for protection.
Yeah. So Kardama Muni, by worship through devotional service in trance, propitiated the personality of Godhead. He pleased the personality of Godhead, and who is the quick bestower of all blessings. So the way to get blessings from Krishna is to worship him through devotional service. So Prabhupada will make it clear in the purport that whatever type of yoga one may be doing, but the success comes when there is some bhakti in it. Without devotional service, there is no success in any form of yoga. And Prabhupada says, the significance of meditation is described here. Kardama Muni practiced mystic yoga meditation for 10,000 years just to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Therefore, whether one practices yoga or speculates and does research to find God, one's efforts must be mixed with the process of devotion. Without devotion, nothing can be perfect. Further down, he says that one has to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Personality of Godhead, Hari, or Krishna, in order to achieve real success. Devotional service or engagement in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and all other methods, although recommended, are indirect. In this age of Kali, the direct method is especially more feasible than the indirect, because people are short-living, their intelligence is poor, and they are poverty-stricken, embarrassed by so many miserable disturbances. Lord Chaitanya, therefore, has given the greatest boon in this age. One simply has to chant the holy name of God to attain perfection in spiritual life. Then in the second paragraph, Prabhupada says, Karda Muni not only meditated, but also engaged in devotional service. To attain perfection in yoga practice or meditation, one must act in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. Remembering is meditation also. But who is to be remembered? One should remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only must one remember the Supreme Person, one must hear about the activities of the Lord and chant his glories. This information is in the authoritative scriptures. And then he says that after engaging himself in 10,000 years and performing different types of devotional service, Karda Muni attained the perfection of meditation. What is the perfection of meditation?
Bhakti Yoga.
Always think Krishna in him.
Pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the perfection of Bhakti Yoga. He propitiated the personality of Godhead. So that is the perfection of one's practice. That is actually the perfection. So then Prabhupada mentioned, where there is no mention of personality of Godhead, where is their surrender? And where there is no meditation upon the personality of Godhead, where is the yoga practice? So yoga essentially means what? Surrender. Surrender. Unfortunately, people in this age, especially persons who are of demoniac nature, want to be cheated. And thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead sends great cheaters who mislead them in the name of yoga and render their service useless and doomed. So this is what happens if one is trying to do yoga and sanskarification at the same time, then one actually ends up with people who are there to cheat them. And they cheat them by giving them different methods which are not authoritative. Okay, so next, text 8.
Then in the picture of the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead, being pleased, showed himself to that Karda Muni and displayed his transcendental before, which can be understood only through the Vedas.
Yeah, so the Lord became so pleased that he came in his own personal form. So Prabhupada says that sometimes the person is recommended that one can arbitrarily concentrate one's mind on some form he imagines or which pleases him. But here it is very clearly said that the form which the Lord showed to Karda Muni by his divine grace is described in the Vedic literature. Shabdam Brahma, the form of the Lord, are clearly indicated in the Vedic literature. Karda Muni did not discover any imaginary form of God as alleged by rascals. He actually saw the eternal, blissful, and transcendental form of the Lord. Yeah. 9.
So he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is free from material contamination in his eternal form, effulgent like the sun, wearing a garland of white lotuses and water lilies. The Lord was clad in spotless yellow silk, and his lotus face was fringed with slick, dark locks of curly hair.
So another description of Lord's appearance, we've been seeing when the Lord appears, what he looks like. So this is how Karda Muni saw him. Okay, this is text 10. This is the last verse for today. Then we'll stop.
Adorned with a crown and earrings, he held his characteristic conch, disc, and mace in 3 of his hands, and a white lily in the 4th. He glanced about in a happy, smiling mood, whose sight captivates the hearts of all devotees.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. It is said that he had his characteristic conch, disc, and mace in 3 hands, and a white lily. So white lily is not characteristic because normally the Lord has what? Lotus.
Lotus flower.
But here he is carrying a white lily. And who can stop the Lord from carrying a white lily? He's not bound by anything that he has to carry a lotus. He can carry a white lily. And he glanced about in a happy, smiling mood. So he's happy. His vision is always so pleasing. And not only is the Lord always pleased, but just by seeing him, one is pleased. He has such a appearance, very pleasing appearance. He glanced about in a happy, smiling mood, whose sight captivates the heart of all devotees. So we'll stop here. Although we have time, but I just feel that we have covered way too many verses in one class. And I can already see a lot of you yawning and almost about to fall asleep. So let's stop here. Any question before we end?
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, in a previous chapter, Prabhupada was continuing the Mayavad philosophy. So I want to ask that what is Mayavad philosophy?
Actually, if you really want to learn about Mayavad philosophy, you should read Tattva Sandarbha. But I'll just give you a very brief introduction of what Mayavad philosophy is. Mayavadis say that, these forms that we have are actually because of covering of Maya. And once the covering of Maya is, is taken out, then we all become Narayan. There's no difference. So this is Mayavad philosophy, that the form that the Lord has is actually a Maya form. The form we have is a Maya form. And all of us are essentially the one. We are all essentially one. It's just because of Maya's covering that we appear as different. And when this covering is done with, then we all become one again. We all become at the same level. And that's why Prabhupada says that they, greet each other as Namo Narayana, that, you are Narayan, I am also Narayan, everyone is Narayan. So this is a very basic understanding of Mayavad philosophy. But if you want to really understand it or read it in depth, you can read through Tattva Sandarbha. There it is. Jiva Goswami really explains it in detail. Yeah.
So Mataji, if they don't believe on the form of the God, then what is this Panchadev, like Ganesh, Surya, Durga, Shiva, Narayan?
Panchopasana. You're talking about Panchopasana?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Panchopasana is, materialistic people. It is not necessarily Mayavad. There is actually in today's time, there is so much Khichdivad, like everything is kind of, mixed together. There's Mayavad, Brahmavadis, there are Mayavadis. There are actually very different distinctions, but everything has become one nowadays. So Panchopasaks are one who actually are demigod worshippers and who also consider Vishnu as a demigod worshipper. Normally Karma Kandis come in that category.
Mataji, Sankaracharya has given this Panchopasana.
So Panchopasana is normally done by them, but there's so much, like I was saying, that there's no clear distinction anymore. So everybody is doing everything. So, sometimes that's why Prabhupada even calls impersonalists as Mayavadis. Whereas if seen in true sense of the word, Brahmavadis are a form of transcendentalists. They are not Mayavadis.
Yes, Mataji.
But so like Prabhupada says that in today's time, there's so much contamination that there are no clear distinctions. Everybody has like a mixed up philosophy. So that's why no clear distinction. But Panchopasana is normally, because Prabhupada refers to Panchopasana in Bhagavad Gita purport.
Yes. So if Sankaracharya don't believe on a particular form of the Lord, then why is given this Panchopasana or 5 deities?
That they at present have little more power than us. They at present have, these demigods have more power than us. So one can worship, one can conduct Panchopasana.
So why only these 5 demigods? Why not else?
I have no idea. No idea at all. Don't know. I can't answer that.
And Mataji's second question is that currently we are in the age of 7th Manu by Vasat Manu. So where he lives and on which country or how he rules? If you are saying that the Manu is on earth only, and in which country and how he's ruling?
No clue. Nobody mentions it. I'm assuming somewhere in a form which we are not able to see.
Okay, means they are not form like us only.
They have human form. They have human form. But but because our consciousness is so gross, we are so covered that we are not able to see.
Okay, but they are living here only. And
that's what the Shastras say, and that's what I'm assuming. I have not seen any proof of where Vaivasvata Manu is and which country. I have not seen it anywhere. But this is my mental speculation.
Because Earth is like one of the planet of this Bhuloka.
What we understand as Earth is very different from the way Earth is described in our scriptures, right?
Ji Mataji.
So, yeah, so we don't know. can't say. Lakshmi?
Can you please explain Hiranyagarbha? Like as you said that Brahma is Hiranyagarbha and Garbhodaksha Vishnu, but how we'll explain it?
Yeah, it's a big topic. How Garbhodaksha Vishnu is referred to as Hiranyagarbha. Surya is also referred to as Hiranyagarbha, and maybe on the last day of our our sessions, last day, we can go a little bit. If we have time, we can go over it and see if we can understand more. But I'll also, if you are not able to get any time and you still want to know more about it, you can go through the Tattva Sandarbha and also Laghu Bhagavatamrita of Rupa Goswami. They explain it. Okay.
Okay, Mataji.
Thank you
But
so
Mataji,
much.
are they coming from Mahavishnu or Vishnu? That is why they are called Hiranyagarbha.
From Garbhodaksha Vishnu. That's why.
Okay.
From Garbhodaksha. Essentially, that's the principle.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to you all.